what's up? Welcome to top 5 tips on how to increase your punching power. So right here we got a bob and it's filled up with water up to here. Okay, so if you got one at home, you know how heavy this thing is. I think it's
200, over 200 at least.
Is it?
Yeah, from what I can tell.
Okay, well try to lift it.
No.
Okay, so it's pretty heavy, okay? So I don't know, you can go online and check how heavy this thing is. I don't know exactly. Okay, so with a nice and strong punch, you should be able to deliver your body momentum through the target and be able to knock down this bob. Okay, so I'm just going to demonstrate. Okay. Okay, so notice that I have very minimal body movement. It's very non-telegraphic, and I was able to knock down the bob. That's about 180, 200 pounds or so, okay, over time. So notice that I'm not doing a big wind up. I'm not like starting from here and then moving in like that. Very little body movement, okay? So, okay? So we're going to show you exactly how to do that. Get really strong attacks and powerful punches. I'm only 135 pounds, so I'm considered a pretty light guy, but people tell me that I hit pretty heavy for my weight, and I'm going to show you how to do that, okay? Here we go. Alright, tip number 5 is having a good stance. Okay, this is very fundamental, but you know what? If you don't have a good stance, you won't be able to deliver power from your legs up to your fists. Alright, so let me show you the good stance again. What you want to do is to put your feet together, open up 90 degrees on your heel, open up again on your toe, open up your heel, so that's 3 times, and then now 45 degrees. Okay, and now kind of bounce back and forth, make sure it's nice and comfortable. You should be able to do a nice squat up and down without any stress on your back whatsoever. Alright, bend your knees slightly and then shake your hips a little bit back and forth, and it should be nice and comfortable. Alright, so that's your good stance. Make sure that is nice and solid. Make sure that you're not leaning forward and you're not leaning back, and it's a 50-50. Right, your front foot should turn slightly inwards. So if this is straight, it's going to turn slightly inwards like that. Your back foot should be on a 45 degree, like this. Okay, and it shouldn't be straight. It should be on a 45, it shouldn't be on a 90. Okay, this is a 90, this is straight, you want to be somewhere in the middle. Okay, so you combine those two. Okay, drop your hips, drop your knees, round out your back. Okay, see my back is nice and round, so you see a C shape here from the spine. Okay, that delivers, that connects your upper body with your legs. It's having this C round back. And then wrap it around. Imagine putting on a backpack and tuck it in like this. And then suck in your gut. Alright, so that's number 5, how to have a good stance. Here's tip number 4 on how to improve the power in your punch. Tip number 4 is to improve your connection to the ground. Why is the ground so important? It's because that's where we want to draw up the energy. Alright, from the ground through our legs. So one good exercise is doing a nice squat. So get into your stance, and from that stance, slowly go down, all the way. Then imagine you're picking up something really heavy, like 2 big buckets of water, and then lift it up while keeping that water nice and heavy. Okay? Now bring it up here, and you should feel a lot more stronger and a lot more solid. Okay, so do that about 5 times. So drop it slowly, drop down. Okay, and then imagine you're picking up 2 buckets of water, bring it up like this. Now if you're really heavy, you have to imagine it's heavy, right? So if it's heavy, you can't just lift it up with your back, you have to use your whole legs, right? So imagine you're lifting it up, get your hips underneath so you can lift it up like this. And breathe in, and then go back to your position. Okay, now drop everything, drop it. Okay, go down slowly, pick it up, heavy water, heavy buckets of water. Now if it's heavy buckets of water, you won't be able to pick it up like this, right? That'll hurt your back. You won't be able to hit it like this because that'll hurt your back too. So you need to have a nice round back, and you need to be nice and straight in order to be able to pick up those heavy buckets of water. Okay, now that you have the position, bring your hands up while keeping the weight of the imaginary water. And now you can feel a lot stronger, okay? So you can even test it out. Do a few punches without doing that, and do 5 of those. And now do a punch, you feel you can move things a lot further than if you didn't do it. Okay? That's a mental exercise, but guess what? It works. Here's tip number 3, how to improve your punching power. We're going to talk about body momentum. Why do you need momentum? Well, if you're a small guy like me, I'm only 135 pounds, and you want to be able to knock out a guy that's twice your weight, you better use your whole body force into your punch, otherwise it won't do any damage at all. Okay? So how do you get the easy way to get body momentum is to actually move your body in the punch. Actually move your whole body. Alright? In boxing, they do a lot of rotation, which is good. And you get nice impact, but you don't get enough momentum to be able to really move something and really shock somebody's body, okay? So what you want to do is you combine the moving of the body with your punch. Okay, how do you do that is you're going to take a step forward, and then we're going to take a step back with your back foot. Okay, so you're going to take a step forward with your left foot, and then as you punch, take a step with your right foot as you punch. Okay, so from the side is 1 step, like that. It doesn't, make sure it's not a big step like this, otherwise you're going to extend your legs out too far. So it's just a really small step, tiny little half step, then this one goes tiny little half step. So 1, 2, that's it. 1, 2. Okay, and on the 2, we're going to punch. 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2. 1, 2. So let me demonstrate to you the difference of just the rotation and now with the momentum. With the rotation, it's going to be like this. Okay, you see there's impact, but the bag doesn't move that much because I didn't transfer my body momentum into it. But with the step, we go. See how much more it moves, and I just moved a little step. Alright, eventually when you get into higher levels, you can make that step even smaller and still be able to transfer your body weight momentum into your target. So that's tip number 3. Hey, here's tip number 2 on how to increase your punching power. We talked about the body rotation, we talked about using your body momentum, and now we're going to talk about another really important tip, which is called expansion and contraction. Now, let's just do an exercise, okay? First of all, let's expand our chest as wide as we can go, expand our chest, and then at the same time expand our knees out, so rotate your knees out like that. Okay, and when you do that, you're going to feel your hips expand. Okay, and now also expand your whole legs this way and your chest this way. Okay, now that you've gone as far as you can, now we're going to contract everything. So we're going to suck in our chest like this, let it sink in. We're going to sink in and wrap our shoulders in. Okay, now we're going to suck in our gut like this. And then we're going to squeeze in our knees together, okay? So now we're in a contractor position. Alright, and now we're going to expand again. Everything stretches out, chest is expanded, your belly is expanded, your hips are expanded, knees are out. Expand like this. Then we're going to contract again. So pull everything in, sink in the chest, round up your back. Your back goes from here, and then it rounds out. Okay, your back is nice and round, your spine is round, and then you suck in your gut this way, suck it in, the hips go in like that, the knees go in like that, and now you're contracted. Alright, so how does this work? Is we're gonna, remember we take a step to get the momentum. Now when we take a step, we're gonna do the expansion, just like that. Take a step, you're expanded. Okay, so expand it. Now when we do the punch, we're going to contract. Okay, so without the hand movement, it's going to be expansion, contraction. Okay, so step, step, expansion, contraction. All right, so I'll show you on the target how this works. So without the expansion, contraction, let's say we're just doing with momentum, I'm just going to do it lightly, just like that, right? Now we're going to do a little bit with the same amount of force with expansion and contraction. Okay, I didn't use any more force, and you can see that there's more force delivered into the target. Okay, so that's expansion and contraction. Use that and you can get more power in your punches. Hey, here's the final tip on how to increase your punching power. This tip is very, very important, and it is very simple, but it makes a big difference. It's about punching through your target and getting penetration. So what I mean is, when you're punching something, your target should be about 6 to 8 inches behind this contact area. Alright? Because if you punch here and your contact area, your mind is just focused on the surface, you're just going to be able to hit the surface, and that won't get enough damage to make the person feel it. So when you're punching, you want to imagine that the contact point and the target is actually 6 to 8 inches behind the contact point. Okay? So, like that. Okay? And that will get you a lot more damage and a lot more power in your punches. Hey, thanks for watching my video on the 5 tips of how to increase your punching power and develop a knockout punch. If you like this lesson, make sure you check out my other lessons right here. And if this is first time here, make sure you check click the subscribe button right here to get the latest and coolest self-defense and fighting techniques. Alright, so we see you soon in the next video. Welcome to Combative Wing Chun. I'm Sifu David. Today we're going to show you how to punch harder 2. This is a continuation of our popular video, How to Punch Harder number 1. So, due to popular demand, we're coming back with 5 more techniques on how to increase your punching power. Stay to the end of this video and you're going to get a secret technique. So let's get started. Technique number 5 to increase your punching power is adding rotational force into your punches. So let me show you how to do that right now. Okay. Rotational force. There's different body parts of your body that rotate. Alright? So if you start from the feet, your feet can rotate by rotating out the heel. Your knees will rotate by rotating in. Your hip rotates by rotating in like this also. And your waist rotates. Your shoulder rotates back and forth like this. Alright? So those are the 3 main ways of adding rotational force. There's more, but then those are the basic ones. Okay, so rotating the heel and the foot out like this, rotating the hips and the waist, and then rotating the shoulders. Alright, so I'm not here to impress you how hard I can hit. I'm just going to show you how you can increase your punching power by adding these techniques. Okay, so let's just start with isolating each one. So let's say that I'm just going to rotate my shoulders. Alright, just my shoulders. Okay, I'm trying to just isolate that part, maybe the other parts are connected. So let's say that I just do my shoulders. Alright, so that's the gauge to start with. Alright, it's not that strong, it's not that powerful because I'm only using my shoulders. Okay, now let's say that I add my waist and my hips a bit. And my shoulders together. Okay, so we added that. How much more impact is that?
I'd say about 1.5.
1.5 more times, okay? Just by engaging another part of your body. Okay. Now the third one I'm going to add my feet to rotate together with my hips, together with my shoulders. Alright? So okay. So I added my hips, my feet, my shoulders. How much more impact is that one?
Like twice.
Twice as much. Okay? Now you can practice. Ideally what you want to do is start a kinetic chain, and we'll come back to that in a second. Kinetic chain means that we're going to start from the ground because most of your energy when you punch comes from the ground. So we're going to bring it up from the feet, up to your knees, up to your hips, up to your waist, up to your shoulders, and into your fist. Okay? So when you practice, do it slowly. Start with the feet, and then rotate it and spiral it out to your shoulders, and then into your hands. So do something like this, like that. All right? So that's adding rotational force. Let's move on to number 4. Technique number 4 to add power into your punch is something called spring force. Now, it's not very commonly used and very misunderstood because spring force is used a lot in Wing Chun, and it doesn't use any rotational power. Okay, so let me just demonstrate that. So spring force does not use rotational power. It uses other body parts on your body, other body mechanics, other parts of your alignment. So let's just take a look at the springs in the body. Okay, the biggest one is obviously your legs. These are springs. Okay, so that's one spring. Is your knees, your legs. It's actually hamstrings that are pulling your legs back. Okay, and also your quads. Okay. The second spring that is a lot of people find hard to train is the back spring. See a turtle shell? Now straighten it up. See a turtle shell? Now straighten up. So it's a C that straightens up like that. That's the second spring. Okay? There's another spring that many people don't even know about either, is this spring. Okay? There's a spring that is the squeezing of your lats and sinking of your shoulders. Okay? So if you combine all those three, I'm going to do the same thing and isolate them again. Okay? So this time, just hold it in the chest here. Okay? Come a little bit closer. So let's just do the shoulder without using any other spring. Okay? Okay, so that's just the shoulder. Okay? Now I'm going to add the lower back spring with my shoulder. Okay? So it's a very short distance. Okay? And then I'm going to add my legs a little bit with the back and then with the spring. Okay? So that's another way of generating power. Spring power is not natural to do that. It takes a lot of training to do this. If you see people fighting in the street fight, you're going to see this a lot. Naturally, people use rotational power because it's easy. It's part of your body mechanics. But spring power is also natural to not humans, but natural to animals. Okay? If you study tigers, if you study chimpanzees that jump, or squirrels that fly from tree to trees, that's the body mechanics that are used. It's called spring power. So I'm not going to go into depth with it. This is just to give you a concept today. So that's the fourth technique of adding power to your punches, spring power. The third technique of adding power to your punches is joint force. Now, what is joint force? It's actually more about joint connection rather than joint force. Now, imagine you had a noodle, wet noodle, and you're trying to push something with it. What happens? Does it move or does it not?
No.
Does it move? It doesn't move because it's a wet noodle, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is if your arm is a wet noodle and your joints are all disconnected, then if I push something, it's not going to move. Okay? So joint force is the ability to lock in your joints so that when you push, all the parts are connected together. Okay? So that when you push, all that energy is transferred through. It does not lose the power through the connections, through the joints. Okay? So how to demonstrate this is through the inch punch. Okay? Because a lot of it is joint force. Okay? I'm going to do the inch punch differently from Bruce Lee. He likes to do it like this. But that's using rotational force actually. So now, without rotational force, I have to do this using joint force. So the last video I showed you, this one is actually a little bit of joint force in there. Okay? So joint force you can add by basically relaxing and then basically starting that kinetic chain using the spring and tightening up as fast as possible. Okay? So you don't see much, but if you add it to the other two, it makes a big difference. Okay? So, for example, let's say I'm going to do rotational force. Okay? Rotational force. Boom. Alright, that's rotational force. And I'm going to not add joint force. Okay? Now I'm going to add joint force to rotational force. Okay, how much stronger is that one?
I got winged on that last one.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, it's not something obvious because it has to do with the connections of your joints and the timing of the tightening of your fist and of your joints when you make that impact. Okay, so it's not obvious how you train that. We can show you some in the next video, but that's technique number 3, joint force. Technique number 4 to increase your punching power is to add breath force. What is breath force? It's the power of breathing. It's the power of relaxation. It's the power of focused breathing. Okay, so let's just demonstrate again. Okay, we don't have to use your chest this time. Just hold on here.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Okay, so I always use rotational because it's the most obvious. You can see it very clearly on camera. Okay, so rotational force without breathing. Okay, that's rotational force without breathing. Okay, now I'm going to add breathing to it. So, okay, how much more impact is that?
Yeah, there's a significant amount more.
How much more?
1.75.
1.75, that much?
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually surprising because I didn't add any more power or effort into that. I just breathed. I just breathed out. Okay, so just actually, what I would do is get a friend, hold up a pad like that. Don't punch him in the head or punch him in the chest, and just do what I did. Just do a punch. Very, very minimal breathing. Okay, and just do another punch with the same amount of effort, and just breathe in, take a deep breath, and use the same effort, and ask him how much more impact there is. And he says actually 1.75 more. Okay, that's actually surprising. So yeah, so the number 2 technique is to add breathing and focused breathing into your attacks. Okay, so I know a lot of you are going to be critics and say, okay, I'm not punching properly, or you don't have enough time to take a deep breath like that, or you don't have time to set up your punches. Okay, this is not about using it as a technique. I'm just showing you a concept of how you can put it into your own training to increase your punching power. These are 5 concepts, right? Okay, so with that said, let's go into concept number 5 and technique number 5, which is using mind force. Okay, what is mind force? What the hell am I talking about? Alright, so far I've showed you everything that has to do with something you can be seen. Rotational force, you can see that. Spring force, you can see that. Joint force, you can kind of see that. Breath, you can see that, you can hear that. But what is mind force? Alright, well let me just demonstrate. Okay, so hold the pad. Okay, and I'm just going to punch it with rotational force again. Okay, so just a regular one. Now I'm going to use a technique using the mind. Alright, and I'll tell you what it is in a second. What's the difference?
I felt a lot more of as if you were projecting a lot further through the mitt.
Through the net.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, sorry, I'm going to use your chest a bit. Okay, I won't hit that hard. Okay. So this is just a regular one. I'm not going to hit that hard. Okay. Now this is with a little bit of mind force. What's the difference?
Yeah. Again, I just felt like the impact just shot right through me.
Okay. So what am I doing in my mind? It's very simple. All right. It's creating a trajectory with your mind. Okay, targeting not just the surface, but targeting inside the body. Okay, so imagine that you are going to put a needle into the body. Where in the body you want to put that needle with the power of your punch? Okay, so for example, the first one I'm trying to clear my mind, I'm just hitting, I'm not even thinking about the target, I'm just thinking about just the surface of it. The second time, what I'm doing, I'm thinking about inside his body. I want that needle to go inside his body and not past his body. So for example, I want to go in the body. That went a little bit too far, right? So I want to go,
Yeah.
right? So how that feel?
All right. Kind of like crumpling inside.
Okay, and I didn't really hit that hard.
No.
It's about targeting inside the body. Okay, so imagine you can combine all those 5 things: rotational force, spring force, joint force, breath force, and mind force, which is basically just trajectory and the intention of where you want to target in the body. How much more powerful will you be strikes? If you think about it, then you don't actually have to hit that hard to cause damage in your attacker. Okay, so a lot of people say, okay, I'm gonna make bigger muscles, I'm gonna bench more weights in the gym. But you know what? You don't need to if you can have all those things working for you, right? So now it's time to show you the bonus technique. All right, so here's the secret technique you've been waiting for. Now we've been talking about how to increase power, right? You got rotational, you got spring force. Now let's do the secret technique. The secret technique will be to combine all 5 of them. Okay? So first of all, you might want to practice each one of them, and it may take you 6 months to train each one individually, all right, to get good at it. But once you can get good at it, then you can start combining them together. For example, let's say I want to combine number 5 and number 4. I want to combine my spring power with my rotational power. Okay, so here's rotational power. Okay, here's spring power. Now let's say I want to combine number 5 and 4, rotational spring power. Okay, now is that stronger or less strong?
Oh yeah,
a lot stronger, right?
Stronger.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's say I want to do add number 3, which is joint force. Okay, so I got spring, I got rotation, and then I'm going to add joint force. Okay, so is that harder than the last one?
Yeah, solid.
Solid, right? Okay, and I didn't even start adding breathing, right? You didn't hear me breathe. So let's start breathing. Okay, I'm going to take a breath. Okay, and then add the spring power, add the rotational power, add the joint force. Okay, so a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I didn't add the mind trajectory. So let's say I add the trajectory. I want to go past the target. Okay, so. Okay, what's the difference from the last one?
It just felt like the full impact of, like just realizing like the full potential of his strike. So you just feel like the whole manifestation of it. So
right. Okay. And does it look like I'm using a lot of effort?
Not at all. You look relaxed, and you're light and you're loose, but not lax like you were saying before, with just being like a wet noodle.
Right. Okay. So thanks, Dengan. So that's the secret technique. So it takes a lot of time to train those individually to get good at them, but once you put it all together, you can make your own combination and you can find out what works for you. So if you like this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel and then check out my other videos on this website and on this video and on this channel. So we'll see you soon in the next video. Welcome to Combative Wing Chun. Today we're going to show you how to punch faster. There's 2 ways of punching faster. The first is technical speed and the second way is perceptive speed. So we show you how to do that right now. The first strategy of punching faster is to have better technical speed. Technical speed means to have better body mechanics and position for your body to punch faster. So the first tip is to have a low elbow that comes out straight like this instead of flaring out your elbow, because this causes your hand to go in a straight line. So have a straight low elbow come out like this. So whether you punch with a vertical fist like that or a horizontal, even when we do horizontal, at the end you do a little snap like this. Okay, but you see that my elbow is going straight up and down like that. It's not coming out, it's not going this way. Okay, so the first thing is low elbow. Second thing is to travel in a straight line. You want to go from point A to point B like that in a straight line. You don't want to go up, you don't want to go around, you don't want to go around, that's a hug, you don't want to go back, it's a back fist, you want to go straight line. Okay, straight line makes you travel in a faster way, so like that. Okay, third one is to relax. So if you tense up your muscles like this, it actually slows down the punch, right? And there's less power. I'm tensing up. Okay, it slows it down, there's less power. So relax, keep your hand in a fist, okay, but not clenched. Okay, so just keep your hand in a fist, but relax the hand slightly, let's say 50% clenched. Okay, everything else is relaxed, your whole body relaxed, and then whip it out like that. So that is the third way, is to be relaxed. The fourth way, technically, is to snap the punch back as fast as you bring it out. So you out and in, like that. Out and in, out and in. Bring it back as fast as you bring it out. Here's a bonus way to increase your technical speed. So we talked about 4 ways. There's actually another fifth way. Notice my stance is a little bit slightly leaning forward. So if I'm leaning forward, my momentum is already going forward. If I'm leaning backward, my momentum is backward. And if I want to go forward, I have to actually bring my momentum forward a little bit before I move forward. But if I'm already leaning forward, then my momentum, I'm cheating gravity and makes me move forward faster. So if I need to, let's say, reach this distance, if I don't take a step, I can't reach it. So if I need to reach that, I have to take a step like that. Okay? Like that. So another fifth technical speed is if you need to take a step, is to lean forward a little bit so that you cheat gravity and your momentum brings you forward faster. So the second strategy of increasing your speed is to increase the perceptive speed. That means increase the speed so that your opponent won't see it coming. Okay, so the first way of doing this is to not have any telegraphing movements. So one way to train this is to have the partner do this, hold the pad, okay, make sure that you have the right distance so you can actually hit it, and then you want to hit it, and as soon as he sees me moving, he's going to move the pad back so he can't hit it. Okay, so if I'm really slow, do the same thing. If I'm slow, I won't be able to hit it. Okay, so let's say that I do something wrong, which is I move my elbow like this. He's going to see that, right? Or if I wind up and then hit it, he's going to see that. If I move my shoulder up first and then hit it, he's going to see that, right? So what you want to do is that if you're missing it, ask your partner, what is he seeing me move before he sees the punch? And then when he tells you, that's what you need to change. Okay, so ideally, you're going to be completely still, okay, and then go into the punch without any telegraphic movements, like that. Okay, right now I can't really reach it, so a little bit closer so I can actually reach it. Okay, like that. So that's perceptive speed. So like I said, you want to be non-telegraphing. So that means minimum movement. You don't want to have any raising of the elbow. You don't want to raise your shoulder. You don't want to cock your hand. You don't want to actually make any movement. You don't want to make your eyes bigger or grit your teeth or to make a loud noise. So minimum movement. Another thing that's very important that Bruce Lee emphasizes is to move your hand before foot. So in fencing, this is very important because they don't want to see the attack coming with a step. So usually when somebody punches, they're going to take a step to get into range and then punch. So what you don't want to do is to take a big step and then punch like that. That's too obvious because once he sees you move your leg and step, he's going to know the punch is coming already. Okay? So what you want to do is to at least be able to step and punch at the same time. Now what Bruce Lee says, according to his fencing training, is to move the hand before the foot. So you want to be moving the hand forward already before you even move the foot. So it's something like this. Okay, so you're kind of like falling into the punch. Okay, so that way he won't even be able to see your foot move because you already moved your hand first. Okay, but if you can't get to that level, just do this, is to time the step to land at the same time as you land on the target. So like that, okay, like that. So that's the third tip, is to move your hand faster than your foot, or at least at the same time as your foot lands on the ground. Here are 4 tricks that you can use to make your punching speed even faster. Trick number 1 is to sneak the distance. So let's say that distance is here, okay, and this is my reach, right? So what I want to do, so instead of punching from your chin to here, there's a distance from A to B, I'm going to sneak the distance and actually put my hand out here, so then my hand only has to travel from here to here, so it's a shorter distance. Shorter distance means faster. Okay, you'll have less time to react to that. So instead of punching here, I'm going to punch from here. It's even shorter distance. Okay, punch somewhere in between. The only downside of that is that when you bring your hand away from your chin, you're open to attacks because you just opened it up, your face over here, right? So make sure that you use it at the right time. A second trick is to make your hand a little bit lower. Now, this will be probably a little bit more useful in street self-defense, because when you bring your hand lower, it's out of his field of vision, especially with somebody who's angry. So in a street fight, usually the guy is angry, he's pumping full of adrenaline, and what that does to a person is you start to get tunnel vision. Okay, your field of vision actually narrows. So when that happens, it's really beneficial for you to actually start with your fist lower, especially before the fight, so that when it comes up, it's actually outside his field of vision. It'll be actually harder for him to see it coming because it's outside of his tunnel vision. So it'll somewhere like around here, okay, a little bit lower. And once again, whenever you bring your hands down, you're open to attack. So make sure that you don't use it, or just use it at the right time. The third little trick of increasing your speed in punching is to punch from movement. So this helps, especially in sparring, you're already in the fight and you're moving around, okay? So what you want to do is not stand still like this. In training, we stand still like this and then punch so that we can train the reaction speed, we train the non-telegraph ability. But once you start the fight, okay, you want to be moving your hand around, okay? Because punching, seeing something move that already started in movements, that's already moving, it's harder to see, okay? Because it's easy for him to see, I'm not moving, then I'm moving, to I'm already moving, and then I move a little bit faster, okay? So the third way is to hide your punch in the middle of movement. So it can be, like this, or say, hey, I don't want to fight, and then like that. So you're moving your hands, I don't want to fight, boom, like that, okay? So it's harder for someone to catch movement when something's already moving. The fourth trick to increasing your punching speed is to punch in the middle of a sentence, okay? So bring your hey, like that, okay? Or he's coming in and I say, hey, I don't want to, like that. I don't want, and then you just punch in the middle of a sentence, okay? It works almost every time that I've done it. Okay? You say, hey, what's up, boy? Somebody's coming in and say, hey, what's that over there? And you punch.
Been a long time, Morty.
Okay, so it's a little trick. I'm not sure if you're allowed to do that in the actual sparring or in the competition, but it works very well, especially if you're self-defense. You say, hey, I don't want to fight, right? So in the middle of a sentence, the guy, it's basically a distraction, all right? And it's hard for someone to see a punch coming, even realize that you're about to punch them when you're in the middle of a sentence. So those are 4 more tricks for you that you can use to increase your punching speed. And thanks for watching our video on how to punch faster. Hope that helps you out. If you want to check out more of our videos, we got them right here for you. And if you're not already a subscriber, click the subscribe button and to get more self-defense, fighting, Wing Chun, and martial arts tips. So we'll see you soon in the next video.